Guitar Will Travel, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine, with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I was speaking with Tony Moscal and Brandon Foster from Kepma Guitars. Kepma Guitars is probably the largest guitar company you've never heard of. In our conversation, Tony and Brandon tell us about how they got involved in the guitar company and their history before that working for St. Louis Music and Peavey. Tony and Brandon tell us what makes the Kepma brand stand head and shoulders above the other Chinese brands. Tony and Brandon describe the models and the woods and the electronics used on the guitars in the process to get the wood ready for guitar building. They explain the torrefaction process and the unique functionality of the electronics. Tony and Brandon explain their role in the company and the difficulties of importing guitars from China and their price points, from less than $200 to $2,500, and where to purchase. The two discuss the importance of artist endorsees and their presence with Nashville songwriters. And the two talk about their time at St. Louis Music and the brands they represented at that time, including the Electra MPC guitar with plug-in effects modules, part of my childhood. To find out more about Kepma Guitars, you can go to their website, kepmausa.com. That's KEPMAUSA.com. Please like, comment, share, and review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because they do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my friends, Tony and Brandon.
So we met at NAMM.
We met at NAMM. Hi, Tony.
How are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
Briefly, and I appreciate the fact that you kind of got what we were doing, and said, "Yeah, let's do a follow up thing." And
of course,
this is awesome.
Well, and so Tony, your last name is
Moscal, Moscal.
Moscal. Okay.
And here's how I always tell people, so you never forget.
Okay.
It's toe, knee, Moscal. Not you spell Moscal.
That's bad.
All right, that's horrible, I know.
And Brandon, what's your last name?
Foster.
Foster.
Like
Okay.
Foster.
Brandon doesn't have a good one.
I don't have one. Oh, yeah, I do, actually. Here, it's right here on the inside. Foster Grants.
Very good.
And that's how we're paying for this business, with a Foster grant.
Oh, this is going to be fun. So how did you guys get involved with Kepma?
I'm going to tell you a story, and here's the deal. So Brandon and I worked together at St. Louis Music. I was there 20 years,
Yep.
and I left there, and I went to work with my own company. Started a company, an internet thing. One of our first clients was St. Louis Music. Second one was Peavey. During the Peavey implementation, they made me the proverbial offer I couldn't refuse. So I went to work for them as GM of business development. Anyway, I was there 13 years and 14 years. Anyway, after that, one of the girls that I worked with, that was the person in charge of okaying, recommending, saying yes to the factories in China, a Chinese lady that she had left. And when I left, I said, look, I want to start doing some business with some of the companies that we were doing business together with. And she said, okay, but the first factory you need to meet is my brother-in-law's company. And what, your brother-in-law? Why don't you tell me about this when we worked at Peavey? She said, well, they're just a company here in China. They don't want to do business outside of China. So I went and saw what is now the Kepma factory, an amazing organization. I just went, holy crap. And I really would like to do business with you guys. And the owner said, you know what? No interest. We have 1.4 billion people here. Your measly little 250 million, whatever. So it took me 3.5 years of going over there, traveling, meeting with them, going, look, let us take your product outside this country. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And they finally agreed. And, that's kind of how it all started.
Right on. Have you been traveling to China like a lot before then? Like with St. Louis Music, had you been going to China back then?
No, I had not. I had not gone when I was with St. Louis Music. I had not gone when I was at Peavey. But she was my eyes and ears always. The entire time was at Peavey. So the fact that when I went over there on my first trip, and literally the first factory I visited was the Kepma factory.
Wow.
It just blew away all my what I had known about guitar factories in China, because they're bad. They're really, really bad. I mean, put a American brand name on it, and you'll see a guy working at a bench with a saw on his lap. So,
wow.
Holy crap. And here, instead, was CNC machines, robots, lasers. Going, what? What are we doing here?
Automated
it was crazy.
Everything, yeah.
and Brandon, when was your first trip to China?
Back when I was with St. Louis Music, I went to China on a buying trip. I was on I went to guitar factories. I went to string instrument factories, drum factories. So I was working in, I was the marketing director at St. Louis Music for a long time. But when Gene sold the company to Loud Technologies, and I moved into a different role there where I was running the distribution division as well. And so I went on a trip at that point to get distribution products.
Okay.
And so I went to Beijing, I went to Tianjin City, I went to Dalian, and then Shanghai, of course, to the music fair there.
Yeah. Do you guys both speak Chinese or no?
No.
No?
No.
No. And you know what's funny? I got to tell you, when I first went, my first trip to China at Kepma, and their first factory is located in a small town. And over there, a small town is considered under 2 million people.
Wow.
That's a small town. So this is the Dongguan area, and it's in a town called Qixi town, Quisi. So Qixi, and not only did the factory have few English-speaking employees, the town, nobody spoke English. It was just crazy in this small little town of 2 million people.
Yeah.
Just doing that. Anyway, it was such an experience to see this high-tech factory making 30,000 guitars a month.
Wow.
That the industry didn't know about.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about this factory. It was crazy.
Yeah. Is guitar a big thing in China? Obviously, it must be.
I'm sorry?
Is guitar a big thing in China?
Well, music is a big thing in China. Unlike here, where we like video games and watching bad TV, it's very, very prominent for moms and dads to get every kid involved in a violin, piano, a recorder, instruments we don't even have here. But yeah, guitar is very, very important.
Okay. It's on the rise. Yeah, we think it's growing there as well. So it's becoming a lot more popular than it was.
Right on. Yeah, very cool. So the woods and stuff, where do they get the woods for these guitars that they're making?
Well, the Kepma lineup is actually really, really simple. In fact, if I can go back a little bit just to explain, when I first met them, they made one guitar. It was a dreadnought.
Okay.
That's all they made, because they said that's what the definition of guitar is a dreadnought guitar. And again, they started in 2009 making basically one model. And over the years, they did have other models. They were all dreadnoughts.
Okay.
We were the first to convince them, going, what about a grand auditorium? What about this? What about that? But so the lineup is really simple. It's a dreadnought. It's a orchestra model. It's a grand auditorium.
Mini,
and a
mini guitar, yeah. They have a couple of different mini versions as well.
Okay.
Basically, all the woods they started with were spruce tops, and then they met a company in Alaska for the Alaskan 150-year-old solid spruce tops.
Wow.
And again, when I first meet these guys, and I'm looking at this wood room, and it's like an incredible thing. But back and sides, are either solid or layered, and that would be mahogany
or rosewood.
Help me, Brenda. I'm going brain dead.
It's African mahogany or Indian rosewood.
Wow.
Yeah, so African mahogany. We got Taiwanese koa.
Oh yeah. We have oven call. Yeah, sorry.
Oven call from, from Africa, and the other one.
That's it. Yeah.
The rosewood, of course.
Yeah. I've already said that, but yeah.
when you guys
four basic woods.
Yeah, exactly. When you guys get involved, like. Are you guys getting involved as partners in the company or simply importer exporters or?
No, we are partners
in
the company.
All right.
So much so that we are now helping them with their international distribution plans.
Okay, right on. Wow.
So they're allowing us to literally be involved on a day-to-day operational basis.
Yeah. And does that mean that you have to be involved with the Chinese government as well?
No, it's a really interesting relationship because, again, they didn't want to export at all. And the reason they didn't is they had no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
So, for example, you're a guitar company in China and you want to possibly sell to Poland. Where would you start?
Yeah, exactly.
You would have to know people. So like I said, it took 3.5 years for us to convince them to let us help them do this. And again, my experience, Brandon's experience, with doing international marketing and distribution, and having, again, trips over there on an ongoing basis with the family. I mean, I know the kids, I send them presents for Christmas. So we just became one. So it just made the trust so much easier.
Sure. And I mean, like you said, you wouldn't know how to get a guitar to Poland. Like, how hard is it to get guitars over here?
Well, I mean, once you have a good distribution network, it's very easy to do.
Okay.
And they didn't have that. And for whatever it was, since 2009, they didn't know even the next steps to take.
Yeah.
They were concentrating so much on their home market. And again, their home market is 1.4 billion people of real people playing guitars all the time, not like here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so they already had a huge market. For example, are you familiar with IKEA?
Of course.
The furniture company?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know they're the number one furniture company in the U.S., right?
I'm assuming so, yes.
They are. By far. It took them 40 years before they started distributing to the U.S.
Oh, wow.
40 years, they said, why? We don't need the U.S. market.
Yeah.
Okay. Need US.
So that's kind of where Kepma was all about.
Right on. And so there's different levels of guitars, correct? You have the expensive guitars, the mid-level guitars, and then the less expensive.
Yeah. They start from about price-wise. They start at about $179 for the kind of the lowest end without a pickup system on it, and that's an all laminate guitar. It's kind of an entry level point guitar, and then it moves up with a pickup system that really makes it unique. So you have a laminated guitar with a pickup system that gives you effects like reverb, delay, and a chorus when you're just sitting in the room just playing without being plugged into an amp.
Yeah.
But it also has a pickup, so it's got a piezo undersaddle pickup.
Okay.
You can plug into an amp. The other cool thing about that system in particular is that it also features Bluetooth audio streaming, so you can stream from your phone to the guitar and play along.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's a great learning tool. It's a great teacher tool as well, because a teacher can record a lesson and then give it to the kid and say, take this home, play it through your guitar, and learn it. So kind of at the lower end. And then we just introduced a couple of new models at the at NAMM. One of them is a super low price. It's not, we don't call it an entry level guitar because it's really not. It's a solid torrefied top guitar. I don't know if you saw this at NAMM or not, but it was a solid torrefied top, bolt-on neck, comes with a bag for $249.
Wow.
And then we have the pickup system version as well in that guitar. That's $299.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was.
And by the way, let me jump in here real quick. Torrefaction is a term in the industry that everybody just kind of tosses around. Bottom line is Kepma and Yamaha are the only two companies that actually have the hardware, the equipment to torrefy product. And what that means is you start off with a piece of wood and you want to take the moisture out of that wood.
Yeah.
And most companies do that. You buy a piece of wood, a top, for example, that was wet, and now you dry it out. Torrefaction goes one step beyond. It's not only just a kiln with heat, but you actually infuse it with steam, and you basically want to take out the pith, the sap, all the cellulose inside the guitar.
Yeah.
Some torrefied tops actually get so charred they become brown.
Wow.
So, for example, the company that Kepma started doing business with in terms of their Alaskan Sitkus tops, they torrefied guitars for many companies in the industry.
Okay.
In some in Southern California, some in Pennsylvania. Very famous companies, and they don't torrefy their own tops. They have to buy that. They can spend as much as $250 for a torrefied spruce top.
Wow.
We basically sell you a torrefied top for $250 and give you the rest of the guitar for free.
That's great.
So then, so from that process, moving up the line, we have solid top guitars that have laminated back and sides. Those are kind of the mid-level.
Okay.
They're nicer. We call them the Club Series and the Elite Series. When you get to the Elite Series, those are a little bit more expensive, and they are because they're finished using the plaque machine, so they're set up using with the plaque. They're also vibrated for about 300 hours in a vibration room, which really it settles the guitar. Settles all the parts in the guitar, so that it's the equivalent of playing a guitar for about a year and a half. And they come with deluxe TKL hard shell cases.
Okay.
Some come with gig bags, but the most expensive guitar that we sell right now is, I think, $24.99. Tony, that's the series solid rosewood.
All solid. I mean, just premium components.
And it comes with the acoustic effects system built in as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it runs from $179 up to $24.99.
Wow.
Yeah. And our $24.99 guitar is often compared to other brands.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, other brand system. And in fact, by the way, I just got to tell you this. That particular company actually had offered Kepma a gig to make all of their brand named product for all of Asia, and Kepma turned it down.
Wow.
They had to turn it down.
Which, by the way, for Brandon and I, thank God, because we wouldn't be here talking to you today.
And so if people want to find these guitars, do you guys sell them online, or are they in stores?
Yep, both. We sell direct on the website, and we started that because when we first got started, we didn't have any dealers. I mean, so we had to have some way to do it.
Yeah.
But we have, I think, about 150 dealers in the United States right now, and we're adding more constantly. I mean, we have people calling all the time saying, "Hey, I just heard of this new guitar brand. How do I get those?" So we're real strong in kind of the Southeast area, and then South Central, kind of where Tony lives. I'm in St. Louis. We don't have that many dealers up here, but it's expanding. Yeah. So there are several online retailers, AMS and Zounds. You can buy them there, and then from our website. We don't compete with our dealers though, so we sell. We have one set price that we sell the guitars for, and they, one map price.
Yeah.
And so all that, and
by the way, in anticipation for an upcoming question, with the new Trump policies, with the imports. We are first and foremost going to tell you we will not raise our prices as a result of the new tariffs.
Wow. Right on. That's fantastic. I wasn't going to ask that question though.
Everybody at NAM did.
How important is NAM to your business?
This past NAM show,
It was good.
was my first NAM show was like 1982,
Mine was 95.
and I've been to every single one of them except two, which those 2 years were the best years of my life. So, and you know, it's interesting. NAM is a love-hate deal. It is. You want to be there for the dealers. You want to be there for your partners. You want to be there for even your competitors.
Sure.
It's just sometimes, it's an expensive proposition, and
It's changed too. I mean, NAMM used to be a buying show with retailers, and we all wore suits and ties, and it was a very professional environment. There aren't that many people coming to NAMM now to buy product anymore. I mean, it's really to come and kick the tires and see what's new, and then maybe I'll place an order down the road, but not going to do it at this show. And we've noticed that trend. I mean, that's been going on forever. Yeah. But but it is still an important show to go to. You kind of have to be there. I mean, it's one of those deals where if you're not there, there's something up with your company and what's going on. So it's fun. I mean, we have a good time, even though we like to complain about it. It's always a good time.
and as far as the electronics on board, is that something you guys came up with, or is that something that was available, or did you see it? I mean, how did that come about? I should just ask that.
Well, can I start, Brandon, and I'll toss it over to you?
Okay.
When Kepma first started selling in China, they wanted to be as much American, anti-Chinese as possible.
Okay.
So they started buying the initial pickups that Kepma used in China were Fishman, but the USA made Fishman. And the factory that makes the Chinese Fishman is right down the street, and they said, nope, we're going to spend the money to go ahead and ship over the most expensive pickups that America has to offer. Then they did the same thing with LR bags.
Oh, wow.
Bringing the Anthem system from the U.S. into the Chinese factory, installing it, and then sending it back to.
But at one NAMM show, Yamaha had just introduced their transacoustic system, which had reverb and chorus. Yep. Or reverb and delay, one or the other. It had two features. And I explained that to Kevin, one of the owners at Kepma. I said, you guys really need to do something like this. And literally, he just sat back and he opened up his desk drawer and tossed it out. And he goes, oh, you mean something like this? Which was our double pickup system that we now call Acoustifex. Right. They already knew about it. They already had that. The Chinese market never took the Yamaha transacoustic. Sure. So it was not a deal in China.
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew it was a deal here in America, in the West. Anyway, they said, well, we can start putting these in guitars tomorrow. Well, then let's start doing that. And it was such a better system. Reverb, chorus, delay, microphone, and piezo pickup. Yeah. And the battery is, how ironic is this?
Hey, you just have one.
The battery is this. It looks like a big AA.
Yeah.
It's called an 650 battery. It is a mega battery. So you charge this, and it's rechargeable. So unlike the 9-volt that comes in a Yamaha guitar, this is a rechargeable battery. And the more you charge it, the longer it lasts. Wow. Brandon, the lifetime playing is what?
You get about 30 hours of playing time on a single charge, and that's continuous with reverb, delay, chorus, and the pickup system operational at the same time.
Wow.
Really, really does. I mean, I've had this guitar in this room for, probably 3 or 4 months, and I pick it up and I still haven't charged it, and I use it all. It's not continuous 30 hours, but still, it's quite a bit. So the rechargeable feature is really nice because you don't really have to worry.
Sure. How important at this stage? How important are having artist endorsees?
Endorsers are great for any brand in the music industry. As you know, we work primarily out of Nashville right now because we have some connections down there. We have a lot of songwriters, and that's kind of where we focused our efforts because these tools are perfect for songwriters. I mean, it's one of the deals where you don't have to have an amp with it, and they go into a write or into a round, and they sit down and they start doing. Okay, well, I came up with this one. They kick that system on, and everybody's just like, "What is that? Where did that sound come from?" So we have quite a few really high-profile songwriters down there. Bryce Long, we've got Buddy Cannon, who's Willie Nelson's producer, and Kenny Chesney's producer. We have Mark Nessler. I mean, just guys who've written a lot of number one hits. But these are the guys you don't really know that well because. Sure. They're the writers. They're not the actual performers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're kind of a behind-the-scenes company. You think about a Garth Brooks with his Takamine, and it's like, oh my God, beautiful endorsement, no question about it.
They paved the floor with those guitars.
We have a guy like Mac McAnally. You're familiar with Mac, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Buffett's guitar guy forever.
Sure.
He's Hall of Famer songwriter in Nashville, Mississippi, in like 5 different states.
Yeah.
And he loves his, and we were like, Mac, please play your guitar live. Just put it out in front of the camera. And he goes, no, I just like it for the studio. It's like,
he didn't want to take it out. He didn't want to mess with it and have it change. He wants it just like it is.
Yeah. And are you guys constantly still doing R&D, or is the factory still doing R&D as we speak?
I can't wrap my head around how fast they move. When I first met them, their R&D facility, number one, to go in there, you go into one of those, you wear a suit and you go into the spray thing. It's like NASA. It really, really is. So many unique tools, like a wood thermometer, just crazy things. And not only R&D in terms of product development, but R&D in terms of manufacturing.
Okay.
When Kepma first started, the premise was not to make a better guitar, was to build a process that makes a better guitar.
I see.
So the process can always be moved and manipulated and put elsewhere. So for the first few years, there's only one model, a dreadnought guitar called the A1.
Yeah.
That's all they made. But then they made the A1 a little better. Then they bought some more machinery, made it better. And then they bought some more stuff and made it better. To the point now, the factory is so sophisticated in terms of what it can do. Again, with lasers, robots.
Yeah.
We cut our sides with a laser. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the only one in the industry that does that. Also, on the roof, for example, of the new facility, there is this humongous machine. What it does, it takes the paint, which, by the way, is a sprayed paint by robots, and it takes it and sucks up, the after bits of paint, and anyway, it absorbs it and basically burns it off, so it never hits the environment.
Oh, wow.
So people talk about China being a bad country for the environment. Kepma is top of game in terms of making sure everything they do is top quality.
Yeah.
Really work.
And as far as the warranty goes for the guitars, like, is it how does that work?
It's lifetime. I mean, if there's ever a problem based upon manufacturing, we'll fix it, replace it, whatever.
Okay, all right, good.
And by the way, you know how many times we've done that?
0.
A handful.
Oh, okay. I was close.
Pretty close.
Do both of you guys play guitar?
I did. I did in a former life.
I also have two daughters who play. One's one in New York City and one in Nashville.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I started teaching guitar when I was 14 years old
Wow.
at the largest music store chain in St. Louis.
Okay.
So
where was that? Was that McMurray?
no, it was Hamilton.
Hamilton. Okay. I don't know. I don't think I know them.
I used to actually have to ride my bike with a guitar in hand.
Have you shown these guitars to anybody like, George Gruen or Schoenberg or any of those people?
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you,
George was a little preoccupied with his project. Though.
Yeah, I know.
Because he didn't bring him in because he knew he was working on his Versatar project. So,
Yeah.
But yeah,
everybody kind of knows about Kepma.
yeah.
We're kind of an enigma that some big other retailers kind of want to get involved. They're also kind of nervous about getting involved. And I'll be really upfront and honest that
It's hard to be a new brand in the acoustic guitar space.
Sure.
and there's some other big brands that frown upon big retailers
In another line.
taking on us.
Yeah. But essentially, their second brands are brand new, just with their name on the top.
Right.
Yeah. You guys both met at St. Louis Music.
Mm-hmm.
And what was St. Louis Music like? How many brands did you represent when you were there?
So we manufactured 6 different brands. So we had Ampeg, which Tony was the Ampeg product manager.
Okay.
We had Freight, we had Alvarez Yairi, we had Audio Centron, which was sound reinforcement.
Great.
Milling string instrument. I said Crate already. Then we had a distribution division. So we had 6 or 7 brands and a distribution division at the time. We manufactured all the product in the United States when I first got there. We were manufacturing in Westport, here in St. Louis, and then also down in Yellville, Arkansas, which is where most of the Crate stuff was made. And then we obviously expanded international manufacturing so that we could keep up with certain larger chain demands, if you will, because we sold a lot of Crate and a lot of Ampeg into Guitar Center.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was great. I mean, it was so much fun. It was a big company,
Yeah, when we started with Ampeg, St. Louis Music literally bought Ampeg off the bankruptcy court steps. So I mean, it was out of business. It was done, and we brought it back from literally out of business to the #1 bass brand, where it still holds that position today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At Yamaha, and in fact, we both
Dino, yep, good old Dino.
we both know Dino very well.
Dino's the best. So let's talk about the Electra MPC guitars. Was that St. Louis's Music's idea to come up with those guitars?
It was a guy, as I told you in the email, it was Tom Presley, who was the product manager for Electra Guitars.
He was Alvarez too.
Time.
Yeah.
I don't even know how and why that happened. I'm sure there was a third party that introduced it to him, but we just ran with it, and it was kind of awesome. I used to have an Electra MPC Omega that also had a 5-position switch.
Oh wow!
For tonal positions, and that was actually a cool thing. And I think I also mentioned to you Leslie West and Rick Derringer.
Yeah,
he used the guitars.
Yep.
We met and Kip Winger, didn't he talk about it at NAMM?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he mentioned it.
Yeah, and Peter Frampton, can't forget Peter Frampton.
Oh yeah,
Peter Frampton. Yep, of course.
And the MPC stands for
Module Powered Control.
Yep. So built-in effects, basically, or
you saw it. These modules, and I think at one point we had maybe 13 different ones.
Wow.
My favorite was the frog tone. I don't remember what it did, but I just remember the name, Frog Tone. And there was even talk at time, and I think it might have even been a prototype of a belt that you would wear around your waist with all the modules, and it had an umbilical cord that would plug into the guitar. So you could literally use all effects at one time.
That's great. That's fantastic. And you can find them. You can find them on Reverb still.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is the Electra company out of business or yeah?
Yeah, the Electra brand is gone, but I think somebody may have recently bought it.
It's probably Tech
Or licensed the name. Yeah.
So somebody's going to bring that. Maybe you guys can bring it back.
No. No, because at the time, two big old modules that you would put in the back of your guitar, and then you can see what you can do digitally today.
Yeah.
It's just so no need for that, except for the nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah. They're great. And so where do you guys, are you guys looking for additional brands or what are you doing as a collective, as a group?
We're trying to grow this one.
Yeah.
Well, if Kepma is doing 30,000 guitars a month,
Yeah.
and they just built a new factory that can triple that production.
Wow.
Yeah, the growth is Kepma International.
Okay.
There's no question about it.
Yep. So is Kepma thinking about doing like beyond acoustics, like solid body guitars? He's grabbing his tongue.
I'll tell you a couple things. I can assure you one of the next things we're looking at will be classical / nylon string guitars.
Okay. All right. And
We've been approached by many very high-end Spanish guitar companies.
Okay.
Distributors.
Because that's an art too. That's
Sure.
old style art, making guitars, and they recognize what Kepma can do. and you're vintage guitar. So the whole thing about how Kepma got started was they wanted to make old sounding vintage guitars, but fast.
Yeah.
A lot. They brought in many former luthiers that are very world famous, recognized, several of which we are not allowed to even mention.
Okay.
You can't even look at their pictures, I don't think.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, it's their whole thing. And they have one of the largest anechoic chambers in the world.
Okay.
And you go, you would think that you would need that for a microphone company, a speaker company. I mean, something that you're looking at nuances of frequency range.
Yeah.
But these guys have this huge anechoic chamber, and they used it to take an old $10,000 1948 Martin, register every tonal characteristic of it, and then you know what they did with that guitar? They cut it up.
Oh no!
Swear to God, these guys are they're just crazy engineers.
Wow. Did they put it back together after they cut it up?
No, of course not. I mean, I can show you half a Martin guitar that's worth half of what it was.
What about outside of guitars? Are they looking at stuff outside of guitars, violins, or no?
No,
That's all.
no. These guys, they grew up. They met when they were in grade 3-4 years old is when they met, and literally they've known each other their entire life.
Wow.
They went to engineering school in Hunan, China, and which, by the way, is where they opened up their newest factory because they wanted to kind of go back home and bring all their success back home.
Sure.
And they just said, all right, we're both really smart engineers. What do we want to do with our lives? Besides, we know we want to work together.
Yeah.
Well, we like music. We like guitars.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We like the idea of futuristic manufacturing. And so, I mean, literally right now, if they didn't like guitars, we could be probably the most aggressive kitchen table manufacturer or sofa company.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing about their relationship was that when they got into the guitar market, they realized that there was not a great quality guitar that everybody could afford in China. If you wanted to buy one of the American brands, they were $5,000.
Sure.
I mean, they were just expensive. And so where they fit in with that one guitar that they first manufactured, which is the D2 120, we call it. That guitar was introduced into that market at a price that everybody could afford, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is a great guitar for that we can actually play." That kind of. So that's really what kind of kickstarted the company big time, was that whole concept of value and quality.
Yeah.
And the other funny thing is that if you remember, every guitar company in China was placating to us stupid Americans. Right. And all of us, I mean, when I was at St. Louis Music or I was at Peavey, we looked for the cheapest Chinese guitar company to compete against the other company's cheapest Chinese guitar.
Yeah.
We raced to the bottom, and they just, wow, that leaves such a huge hole here in the market in China. And then also left a huge hole here in America.
Sure. Yeah. And so, Brandon, you're in St. Louis. Where are you, Tony?
I'm in Meridian, Mississippi.
Okay. And what's life like in St. Louis and Meridian, Mississippi?
St. Louis is very cold right now and snowing.
Okay.
That happened today. It was 74 this weekend, and now it's snowing. So it's chaotic. But it's fun. I mean, it's fine. I stayed here. We raised kids here, so and now they're gone. So who knows?
And I'm in Meridian because I worked for Peavey for 13, 14 years.
Okay.
My wife still works there.
Oh wow.
I don't need to be anywhere because our business is so remote anyway.
Sure.
My coffee maker is set at 2:30 a.m. every morning.
Oh wow!
So I can talk to China all day long, and it just has become fine. Nashville, we wanted to pick that area because it was central for both of us.
Sure.
It's obviously Music City, USA.
Yeah. That's where a lot of acoustic guitar players,
That's where our market is. That's where our customer base is. And ultimately, we were to open up an office there together. And, we have a warehouse there and we have officing there, but we didn't need to move.
And we have a little, I don't know if you know anything about Interstate Music, but Interstate is a company based up in Milwaukee, but they opened a facility in Nashville that they started with a house on Music Row, and then they just leased the Doc McGee building, which is right there on Music Row. And they converted that. Doc McGee was a talent agency.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
There you go. But they converted it into this massive, just amazing podcast and recording studio and video studio. And it was funny because they used to do these concerts in their parking lot. And one particular concert had Bryce Long, Buddy Cannon, and Mark Nessler playing it. And those three guys they play our guitars.
Yeah.
I called them and I said, "Hey guys, make sure you're playing your Kepmas at this parking lot event." And so they had a picture taken and all that. And Jeff, the guy who owns Interstate, knew nothing about the guitars. He's like, "Why do these three guys that I have on my staff, why are they playing these guitars?" So he DM'd me on Instagram. We started a conversation. He's like, "I love what you're doing with these songwriters and the support that you're giving them, and just it's really a cool thing, and I want to be involved in this." And so we're like, okay. So we opened this facility. He put in kind of a little showroom for us. So we have a nice little area in his building that has, it's basically a showroom for our guitars.
Yeah.
And people over there to check them out and play them, and so it's really worked out well. But so that's another reason we're there. We go there a lot. I go to Nashville a lot.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yep.
And apart from the whole guitar thing, what do you guys do for to relax, to have fun?
Tony, what do you do?
I go to Mexico.
Right on.
And Florida and New Orleans.
I go to Florida, Mexico, and New Orleans. That's correct.
We haven't done a whole lot of relaxing. My wife and I have. We still have.
You hunt.
Yeah. I duck on.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
And again, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it all the time. Our biggest frustration is we don't know why we're not bigger than we are.
Yeah.
Kepma in China is as big as one can be. And there's two companies that rule the world in terms of acoustic guitar. It's Yamaha and it's Kepma.
Uh-huh.
We don't feel that here in the U.S. just because we're new. They've never really kind of like established themselves. So that's what Brandon and I are trying to do. Uh-huh. So what are your thoughts based upon what you know, what you've heard today, where we need to be?
I would say you just want to get your product in people's hands.
Right.
Because clearly it's a quality product, and it's unfortunately or fortunately, who knows, we're in the era of the influencer, and when people see and then they do. So if they see, where you want to be is TikTok. You want to be on TikTok.
Yep.
That's where the kids are. That's where the 20-year-olds get their news.
Right.
TikTok is where everybody goes. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think Vintage Guitar is on TikTok, but
we get it. We know. Yeah. We got it.
Yeah. But if I were to ask my kids anything about current events, that's where they get it. That's where they learned it.
I'm glad I'm not a kid.
Likewise. Before it was Guitar Player Magazine. That's where I saw all the Electra ads.
Oh my God!
It stinks back.
Well, once again, it's been wonderful talking to you guys. I really appreciate you spending this time with me and giving me all the insight. This is fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, guys. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.